to do these timings like as you're defending pressure. So like that initial pressure, you lost a lot of drones, and so all of the timings kind of got thrown off.
Okay.
But actually, you can just counterattack here, and you'll probably win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just hard mode, so.
It's just hard.
Just hard mode. So, about every 3 minutes or so, you want to double check all of your geysers just to make sure that you have 3 drones on each geyser. Just because during pressure attacks and stuff like that, sometimes a drone gets picked off, or if you have to pull off drones, you might forget to replace it, and it's actually a really big deal because one geyser is like a fourth of your gas income. So whenever you do an inject, I like to make an overlord. This is just so that you're giving yourself room for more supply. Alright, I think you can just go out and attack them and kill them off right now. Once it gets past this later stage of the game, the educational value kind of diminishes just because the early mistakes compound such that it's not that useful to look at it. So unit control could use some work, but they're just zerglings. Generally, you want to get the surround on your opponent by just move commanding past their units, and then once they're past the units, then you can attack move, and they all attack all at once. That's kind of nice how that works out. Right, so you're starting the +2/+2. You should be starting your infestation pit as soon as that starts. Your 4th hatchery isn't rallied, so you actually have a lot of minerals there, or a lot of zerglings there.
Oh.
Yeah, you generally want to keep all your rallies at one point so that you know where your units are going. Okay, so I think we're about done with this game. You've got 100 supply lead, so
okay.
It's kind of, I don't see you losing this one. All right, so that game, it went a bit better, but I think the early pressure really threw you off. So what I want you to focus on is, instead of this is going to sound weird, but instead of playing to win the game, instead of playing to beat your opponent, I want you to play so that you hit your injects and you keep your larva as close to 0. Okay. So just prioritize that. Even if you're being attacked, just go inject and larva at 0.
Okay.
So just don't worry about unit positioning or trying to get us around or stuff like that. So this is going to be the 3rd game. Just do the 3-3 split and be careful where your initial overlord goes.
Okay.
The initial overlord takes a while to get wherever you want it to go, though, so you can change that after you split. That's okay. Splitting is, yeah. Idra does
So right here, you would suggest?
Yeah, a little bit further to the right, past the bushes or whatever. Yeah. That's a good spot.
Fuck's sakes. Get over here. I normally don't screw up this much.
Let's go for the 9 overlord this time.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, but talking while playing is actually pretty difficult, so I know what you mean.
Good, it's not just me.
Alright, so that second overlord should be going right above the natural. so that
Right.
you'll be able to see like SCVs and bunkers and stuff.
I
Try
guess
to
I don't-
try to keep the lava at 0, so just kind of be mindful of it. It's easy to forget, but yeah. So this is when I would send out the scouting drone at 14 supply. You can either pull one off from the mineral field or just one of the drones that hatched.
kind of like send it in this area and then like rally it back, or
I would just like right-click your opponent's minerals and then that's it. Right, so the drone's going out for the hatchery, and then you're at 16 supply. Alright, 16 hatchery. And then 15 spawning pool. Alright, and then just pull back. So, yep, 17 supply, you'll get the Overlord, and then yeah. So in this downtime, you want to look to see what your drone scouted. And
two barracks.
it sounds obvious, like, well, he has 2 barracks, 2 supply depots, and no gas. But you really need to be taking into account what that means. So, like, 2 barracks means he's going to have a lot of Marines, which means you're probably going to want more Zerglings or Spine Crawlers than you would normally get. No gas means you don't really have to worry about Hellions, so you could probably prioritize, like, Queens and Spine Crawlers. So, as soon as the hatchery comes up, that's when you want to be thinking about drone saturation, because you have 2 bases now, so you'll be able to use the drones more effectively. To put it into perspective, having 3 drones on a mineral patch instead of 2 drones on a mineral patch reduces the mining efficiency by 66%, which means like it normally takes a drone about a minute and a half to pay off for itself, but by reducing it by 66%, that's like it'll take, you know, a ridiculously long time. So just hit the injects, and I think well, the Overlord's pretty well timed. It looks like you started 2 queens at your main instead of 1 queen at each hatchery.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. You kind of want to fix the rally at the main, and also transfer 2 of the drones that you have at the main manure patches to the natural. So at this point, you should just be focusing entirely on hitting the injects and making sure that you're not supply blocked. Now that you have the 3rd and 4th queen into play, it kind of gets like exponentially more difficult because you have to be mindful of creep spread and larva injects. But at the same time, you want to be making sure that you have 0 larva. So right now, as soon as you spend all of this larva, an inject just popped off. So whenever that happens, you want to spend the 4 larva like as soon as possible. So you're at the 40 supply mark. You're going to want to throw down all 4 of your gas, but this time you're also going to throw down a roach warren. This roach warren is you're getting it blind, but against good players you won't be able to tell whether or not they're going Hellions, just because they can hide it in their base and deny scouting with a drone, or deny with, like, you know, a Marine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a safety roach warren. If you see Hellions, you'll make roaches. If not, then you won't need them. Okay, so even though you're being attacked, you still want to be hitting the injects and making sure all of your larva is at 0 supply. And then you'll see you didn't even look at the fight. Or maybe you did. I wasn't really paying attention. But
No, actually I didn't.
yeah, but
It's over. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Crazy.
Like microing Zerglings like that, it's really not even that effective. So the difference between having no micro on Zerglings and having like all of your attention on it isn't that much, but the difference of you hitting the injects and you missing the injects is enough.
Okay. I lost a queen though. So.
You did lose a queen, but that's why you have 4. You have some leeway to lose queens if you want.
Okay.
Just the things to note are during that fight, your money got really high, so you missed the layer timing, the spawn or the metabolic boost timing, the 2 evolution chambers.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This sounds so horrible.
Well, you know, the pressure kind of, you know, they attack, and then you're like, oh god, I gotta make units, I gotta do this, so.
Yeah, it's hard because like that's the mindset that I have like always had, so it's really hard to kind of like kick that habit.
Yep. So you'll see your supplies at like 56 out of 60. Whenever it gets like close to that mark, you want to make more overlords, just because as much as possible you want to be making drones over units. So you'll have like a Ling outside of their base, seeing and waiting to see when they move out. But if they do move out and you're at like 58 out of 60, you won't be able to make units even though you see them moving out, and you could potentially lose the game like that. So it looks like you're doing well, or you're doing good on replacing the drones for the buildings that you make. You constantly want to be shooting for 16 on each mineral patch, and a good way to know whether or not you have 16 is just like
Double.
Nice.
Like if it's got 2 lines, right? Then
Yeah, 2 lines is, yeah. So your minerals were above 500 for a while.
Yeah, so I can make
you wanted to make that extra hatchery.
Make 2 actually.
Yep. Generally, I like to just put the hatcheries like randomly across the map, like at expansions that I don't have. That's just what I like to do. There are advocates for both styles. By putting the expansions at the other map or around the map, you're giving your opponent more opportunities to attack you, but at the same time, they're just hatcheries. So if it was like a death push, then you'd survive because they're taking too long to kill you off. That makes sense, but in-base hatcheries are more safe. So there's smaller things like the creep spread. Everybody's creep spread could use work, and then like taking the watchtower with the zerglings, having a zergling constantly outside of your opponent's base, and also having no idle units. Like right now, you have a bunch of units idle that could be like destroying rocks or, you know, connecting bases and stuff like that.
Okay.
Alright, so he's attacking you, but even though he's doing that, I still want you to just hit all of your injects and make sure you're spending all of your larvae. So, even though you're like losing queens and stuff, it's just don't even worry about it. So you'll see your +1/+1 finished. So you just proceed as normal. You kind of just don't let the attack get to you. Just do whatever you were going to do, and you know, don't fall behind because he's attacking you. So, whenever you have a macro hatch, instead of making another hatch in your base, I want you to just go ahead and take your third. I think that would be a good timing for it. So whenever your minerals are above 500 and you already have a third hatchery that you're, you know, purely for macro, just go ahead and take your third.
Preference doesn't really matter where, like, doesn't matter.
Generally you want to take third where the rocks are, not the gold base, but like the one that's adjacent to your natural. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, right here. I couldn't even see the rocks.
Yeah.
Alright.
At higher levels, taking the gold base is kind of like super risky, but you could take the gold base if you wanted. Basically, what the gold base does is it's gonna like incite an attack from your opponent because he's gonna feel pressured that you're taking the economic lead. So just keep that in mind. By taking the gold base, you're basically telling your opponent, come attack me, because if you don't, you're going to lose. Whenever you do take the gold base, you're going to want to put down another hatchery, either at an extra base or in your base as a macro hatch, just because the gold base is